Greetings from Nebraska. Let me hide my logo so you won't know where I'm at. Anyway, I haven't had the opportunity to do one of these. I actually did this video a couple of days ago, but didn't quite have time to upload it. And it was a little dark. I had done it after my orientation. But for those wondering, yes, I am in Nebraska. First time here. Decided to take a contract here. It was either going to be here. I got an offer in Indiana. That one kind of fell through a little bit at the last minute, having had some issues with the license, but I ended up getting it anyway. So here in Nebraska, working at another hospital here for 13 weeks, still on the grind for the farm. That goal has not changed. I did go back to PA, say hello to the family, see how everybody was doing. I was there a little bit longer than expected. I was only supposed to be there a week. Turned out to be a bit longer because I had some issues getting with some of the licenses because I don't live in a compact state and I don't have a compact license. I have to apply to individually to each state, and so that makes it a little bit harder. And I had a bit of an issue when I flew back from Ohio, where I did my fingerprints in Ohio so that it would get uploaded. They'd have my background check, my FBI screening, and it should have been done. And then when I flew back, they were like, "Oh yeah, we accidentally didn't send your background check. You need to come back and do it again." And I'm like, I'm in PA. I can't go back to Ohio. They were like, "Well, you have to do it locally." And it just took even longer. So that kind of fell through, which meant the Ohio contract got pushed back, but ended up with a better contract out here. Been here about a week. Yeah, it's been about a week, just like 8 days here. I finished my orientation working locally here at a hospital. Didn't realize I drove from PA here. It was a nice 1,100 mile drive from PA all the way through to Nebraska. It took me about 2 days going at a good pace between resting and sleeping, etc. And had some shit going on my way here. But in any event, Nebraska, decent enough place. Been keeping busy, keeping my eye on what's going on in the world. And the goal is still the same. The goal is still buy land, have a community, and sustainable living. Create a business, which I had talked about previously in many of my videos, so that whatever comes forward or in the future, right, with the central bank digital currency, recently the G20 and Joe Biden, they had they're moving forward with the vaccine passports or whatever they're going to call them with, the digital ID. I believe that's what they're calling it. It's just vaccine passports with a new name. And in 2023, they're going to be expanding the pilot. They already started the pilot. 12 banks are already starting for this with the central bank digital currency. And in 2023, in the middle of 2023, they're going to be expanding it, going forward. It doesn't mean that central bank digital currency is here, but it is in the works. So you still have time to work out whatever plan that you want. Because when it does come, it's going to come in the form of a crisis event. And that's the only way that central bank digital currency will make its showing. Just like the passports, right? Just like the vaccine passports. They needed the crisis, right? Got to wear your mask. Everywhere you go, you got to show your papers. They couldn't introduce that without a reason. If everything is calm and everything is fine, there's no reason for all the extra stuff. They need to introduce it just like 9/11, right? We need to spy on you because some people over here committed an act. And so this is always the case, right? Problem, solution, right? Crisis, don't worry, we got a solution for it. It's to take away more of your freedom. It's more communism. It's the expansion of government. And no matter what happens, if you're far out in a country somewhere, well, the government's not going to care. As long as you're not talking about raising pitchforks and torches, the government pretty much is going to leave you alone. Now, if you're in the cities, that's going to be a different problem. There's going to be a lot of cameras spying. If you've been paying attention, you've heard what's going on in the UK with the UK introducing 15-minute cities, meaning you can't move more than 15 minutes from your home, your gym, your hospital where you work, everything you need is going to be within 15 minutes from wherever you live. And they were calling them districts, right? Just like in District 9, or in, what was the other movie? The Mockingjay, I forget the name of it. But anyway, very, very similar. But of course, there were some limitations where as long as you didn't move out of your area, driving more than 100 times within the year, that within that little area that they give you, as long as you didn't go out more than 100 times throughout the year, then you would avoid the fine. But of course, if you did, then it would be something, I think it was like 80 or 90 euros, I forget, which is a pretty decent amount of money for like your average person, right? If you're a wealthy person, that doesn't mean anything to you. Or if you have a good job, you're like, eh. But of course, the fines, if people keep on pushing the boundaries, then the fines will just get higher and higher. But this is where we're moving towards. Mexico, of course, is still on the agenda. I wasn't able to go because of, I was supposed to go like the second week being in PA. I was supposed to stay in PA for a week and then fly to Mexico, look at some real estate down there. And that kind of fell through because of the whole thing with doing the fingerprints. And then when that one was taking too long, I decided to go a different route. And the Nebraska one was like, well, you can apply without having the license. You just have to, be in the process to start. And then they'll accept you. So I was like, fine. I was like, I'll go that route. I got immediately accepted, got all of my exemptions taken care of because, as you know, I didn't take the jab. And this season, I also didn't take the seasonal flu because there was no point, because for the most part, most of us took it, not because we were worried about getting the flu, because most people end up getting it anyway, but because we didn't want to wear the mask. And I was like, well, if this hospital still has mask mandates, which this one does, when I left Ohio, they had dropped the mask mandates, but this particular area still has a mask mandate. So I was like, there's no point. There's no point in taking it because for someone like me, it's not really going to do anything. So I was like, well, if we're going to wear the masks, it is what it is. So thankfully that got taken care of. But that window, I know, will eventually close for a lot of people. And you'll have to have your own thing. And even if you have your own thing, even if you have your own business, as you saw previously during the pandemic, that they were like, well, anybody who has more than, I forgot what it was. I think it was anything more than 50 people or 25 people, then you had to mandate it to your employees. So even if you have your own thing, they could just be like, well, we want you to mandate it, or we'll make life hard for you. So with that said, moving forward, the goal, of course, is to create another business. Previously, I did private healthcare, private aid service, but unfortunately that got kind of squashed with the pandemic. But the next one is in going into food production, building a large, I would say large, like a medium, 50, 75 acre, 100 acre farm, living off the land, providing a service to the locals, opening a small store while still doing the nursing as long as I can, still doing the investing as long as I can, and we'll see how it goes. But that's basically a little bit update for me. Hope everything is going well with you. Hope you're sticking with whatever plan that you're preparing for yourself. Eventually, you heard all the talks of recession, and the job numbers have been good for quite some time, which is why they're letting people in to the country, right? We wouldn't have a recession while they're adding people to the economy. It will take time for that recession to eventually, obviously, because there are no stimmies. So by comparison over year, you're going to see a difference, obviously, because there's no stimmies from one year where there was to this year where there isn't. So obviously on paper, it's going to be a recession. And because the Federal Reserve is raising interest rates, tech jobs are going to be hit. That's naturally going to happen. But other industries are still going to be continuing to grow until we peak, and then we come down, and then we'll experience a bit of a recession. We'll see what 2023 looks like. But typically that's a good opportunity to start a business going into a recession so that when we expand, we will have another expansion before the crisis, whatever that next crisis will be. It could be the cyber attack, or it could be another pandemic. We have absolutely no idea. But if you know what's going to happen, then the best thing that you can do is to prepare. Have multiple plans, at least have some form of a plan so that you're not completely dependent upon the government moving forward, because then you'll just have to do the bidding of the government, whatever that may be. There's a lot going on in the world. I have been paying attention to it. I just haven't had time to do any sort of a video, and I've just basically been focused out here getting everything done. I did buy a pickup so that I could save money on all the rentals. I was wasting way too much money renting cars going out from city to city. So I ended up picking up a pickup, which of course I will need in the future for the farm, but I kind of left it at that. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here, and I'll check you next time. Hope everything's going well. Take care.